There's this patch of ocean just off the coast of Florida that has been haunting our imagination for a century. They call it the Devil's Graveyard. It's a place where compasses supposedly go nuts, radios just die, and whole ships, even entire squadrons of planes, just vanish, gone, without a trace. So what is really going on out there?
Is the Bermuda Triangle a genuine supernatural danger zone? Or is it just a myth, built on a foundation of bad weather and even worse luck? Well, let me tell you, the truth is way stranger. And honestly, a lot more unsettling than any ghost story. All right, so first, let's get our bearings and map out this mystery. Welcome to the Devil's Graveyard, an area that's really defined by everything that's been lost inside it. Now, this isn't just some empty patch of water. We're talking about a 500,000 square mile arena of extreme natural forces. You've got sudden, violent storms that can just whip up out of nowhere. You've got the Gulf Stream, which is basically a powerful river inside the ocean, and it can scatter wreckage for hundreds of miles, completely wiping a crash site clean in just hours. And hey, if something does manage to sink, well, it plunges straight into the Puerto Rico Trench that's over 5 miles deep. Anything that falls in there is gone. Forever. This incredibly treacherous geography is the perfect backdrop for the cases that really built this legend. The genuinely chilling, unsolved files of the lost. Let's start with what might be the most impossible case, the USS Cyclops. Back in March of 1918, this colossal 542-foot Navy ship carrying 306 people just vanished. The search found nothing. I mean, absolutely nothing. No wreckage, no distress call, not a single body. Now, the first thought was a German U-boat, right? But German records showed no attack in that area. A 19,000-ton ship just ceased to exist. The mystery was so complete, so profound, that even the President of the United States at the time, Woodrow Wilson, could only say this. Think about that. It is still the single largest loss of life in U.S. naval history outside of combat. And it's a total baffling blank. But the case that truly sealed the Triangle's terrifying reputation, that has to be Flight 19. On December 5, 1945, 5 U.S. Navy bombers took off from Fort Lauderdale. It was a perfectly routine training mission over the Bahamas. The weather was fine, the planes were in good shape, the pilots were experienced. 2 hours later, they were hopelessly lost. And because of the radio, we have this haunting transcript of their final hours. The flight leader's compasses were apparently going haywire. He got completely disoriented and, tragically, led his entire squadron further and further out into the open Atlantic, thinking he was over the Florida Keys. His last transmissions are just the stuff of nightmares. And here's the final, brutal twist to the story. The 14 men on Flight 19. They weren't the only ones to die that day. One of the search and rescue planes sent to find them, a Martin Mariner, which was known as a flying gas tank for good reason. It actually exploded in midair. All 13 crew members were killed. In just one afternoon, 27 men were lost to the Triangle. Okay, these stories are absolutely terrifying, but are they really supernatural? Well, science has its own explanations, and trust me, they might be even stranger than any ghost story. Scientists have pointed to several phenomena in this exact region that are more than capable of taking down a ship or a plane. We're talking about massive undersea methane eruptions, 100-foot-tall rogue waves that appear out of nowhere, and these bizarre hexagonal clouds that can create air bombs with winds up to 170 miles per hour. These aren't just wild theories. These are documented forces of nature. The methane hydrate theory is particularly wild. Okay, picture this. The seafloor suddenly just erupts with this massive bubble of gas. The water becomes so frothy, so low in density, that it literally can't support the weight of a ship anymore. The ship would lose all buoyancy and just sink like a stone, instantly. No time for a distress call, nothing. But for all the incredible science, the single biggest argument against the Bermuda Triangle being some kind of paranormal hotspot actually comes from a much more boring place. The insurance market. Seriously, Lloyd's of London has been insuring ships since the 1600s. They have every financial reason in the world to identify genuinely dangerous parts of the ocean. And yet they don't charge a higher premium for sailing through the Triangle. Why? Because when your entire business is based on calculating risk, you can't afford to believe in myths. Their cold, hard data says the number of losses here is completely normal for such a busy, storm-prone area.
And it's not just them. In 2013, the Worldwide Fund for Nature put out a report identifying the most dangerous waters on Earth. The South China Sea and the North Sea, they topped the list. The Bermuda Triangle, it wasn't even on it. So is that it? Mystery solved? Well, it's not quite that simple. To really understand what's going on, we have to look at how the myth itself was actually built. You see, the legend of the triangle wasn't discovered, it was constructed. For decades, the Cyclops and Flight 19 were just separate, unsolved tragedies. It wasn't until 1964 that a writer named Vincent Gaddis connected the dots and actually coined the name the Bermuda Triangle. And then, in 1974, Charles Berlitz's massive bestseller turned it into a global phenomenon. So while the big overarching myth might be a bit of a fabrication, some of the individual cases that inspired it, they remain stubbornly, genuinely unexplained. Take the Star Tiger. It was a British airliner that vanished in 1948. The official government investigation concluded with these stunning words. This wasn't some mystery novelist saying this. This was a formal board of inquiry basically admitting they had absolutely no idea what happened. And maybe that's the real takeaway here. The story of the Bermuda Triangle isn't about aliens or time portals. It's really a humbling reminder that no matter how advanced our technology gets, we are still tiny specks subject to the immense, indifferent power of the natural world. And the ocean, well, the ocean is very, very good at keeping secrets. Look, most cases have plausible explanations. Human error, bad weather, mechanical failure. But a 19,000-ton steel ship with 306 souls aboard just vanishing from the face of the Earth? That one still defies an easy answer. So let me know in the comments, what do you think happened to the USS Cyclops?